going on, Cowboys Nation? Just walking, doing my morning walk. Should be a little bit better today. I actually got one of them little selfie stick tripods, so we'll be a little bit more steady. But yesterday, everybody knows pretty much the ankle, and um, from all fronts because I know how hard he worked to get back. I know how hard he pushed the guys in the off season, and you could really tell that he had that locker room. You could see it from the guys, really, honestly, and how they reacted. And big ups to Andy Dalton for stepping in and really just showing that he had a little bit of ice water in his veins. It was a little shaky at times, and quite honestly, you can see the drop off. You can see the drop off in the offense from Dak to Andy Dalton a little bit. But what I will say is that Andy showed something that I've already known about him. I haven't really been the biggest fan of Andy Dalton. And I still don't really trust him with the keys to the offense like that. But if you want anybody that can go in there and manage a situation like that, I think Andy Dalton is probably the guy that can do that. And you can really see that for the most part when you have backups that go in the game, you can see that there's lack of confidence normally. You can see that it might take a couple of possessions or whatever for them to get how do I say it, to get command. But I will tell you that Andy probably the first snap was like that, and maybe the one that was fumbled. But other than that, I thought Andy showed poise in there, and that's exactly why we signed him. I don't think that we ever pictured Dak going down. I don't think anybody pictured that. To be honest, we kind of took it for granted. A guy who has started in every game. He started in every game, so none of us really saw that him going down. But Andy definitely kept the ship afloat. And one other thing that we were able to do was establish the run game. I think that we saw a different Zeke Elliott yesterday. I think we saw a Zeke Elliott that was mad, that was energized, that was playing inspired football. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Ezekiel Elliott of old, based on what I saw yesterday. So the title of this video is, you know, can we rally around the injury or something of that nature? And I honestly believe we can. I believe we can and still win our division. I'm not going to say we're going to be a good team. Not going to say we're going to be anything like 11-5 or 10-6. But we definitely still can win the division. And the crazy thing is that even with our injury, even with what happened, Andy Dalton is still a better quarterback than damn near everybody else in the division, including Carson Wentz. Andy Dalton right now, with what we have, could definitely be better than Carson Wentz as it stands right now, because Carson's not really playing great football. One thing that worries me a little bit, that worried me even with Dak in there at quarterback, is the offensive line, the tackles position. There were a couple of times yesterday where, Andy had just gotten the ball off, but good thing that we have weapons on the outside. I'll tell you that much, because that'll help a little bit with that. We can help him with some play action calls like they did yesterday. We can help him with some screens. I honestly think that the game plan changes a little bit with having Andy Dalton in there. It's not necessarily a bad thing, though. I think what it does for me is it simplifies some of the things that we can do. like ultimately we know Andy Dalton can make some throws down the field. He can make the intermediate throws. Um, he can make the high percentage stuff, and he showed you that he can actually dial up the long ball um, yesterday too. So, um, which I didn't know Andy Dalton had that in him. I didn't know that the Red Rifle um, had that had that little bit of cold blood in him, but he did. Um, so I will say I think we're in good hands. Do I think this is the same team that I had Super Bowl aspirations about, or this type of juggernaut offense? No, but I think what we have to do now is play. We're going to have to play ball control now a little bit more. Like how we're going to have to sustain drives like we used to do. You know, before we were trying to score 40 points a game. I think now it's more imperative than anything that we play to change. The reason that I say that is that I don't believe in overwhelming Andy Dalton too much right now, putting too much on his plate. Because honestly, I think that what's going on, Ori? Honestly, what I think right now is we have to protect the defense because with Andy, even though I believe he's more than capable, more than serviceable, um, I don't know if I want Andy Dalton getting in the shootouts with teams. I don't know if I feel comfortable there. That's just me. So I say probably simplify the game plan. We were turning the ball over a lot, even with the shootouts, even with Dak. And Dak, characteristically, technically isn't a guy that turns the ball over a lot. He has this year um, at a rate that was kind of alarming. But we were scoring so many points that it overshadowed how much we were turning the ball over, and the defense was so bad that it was. I mean, we were just turnovers were like candy. With Andy Dalton, I don't think we can have that same approach. And ultimately, we do know that Andy Dalton doesn't have the same mobility that Dak does. As a matter of fact, that mobility is why we're in this situation right now. So I think that what we have to do is we have to find ways to call plays to where we're protecting him and also protecting our defense. And I say, we go back to the stay ahead of the change. And maybe, I saw my guy Foot. He made a comment on Twitter where it was like it was something along the lines of possibly Mike McCarthy taking back over the play calling, uh, just specifically for this because I mean Kellen Moore, while he's a young offensive coordinator, we've never seen it. We're not sure if he's a guy that can grind out these type of games. One thing that I can tell you about Mike McCarthy as a play caller is he won a Super Bowl in our own stadium with this formula. Because I don't know if you guys remember that Green Bay team back in 2010, I think 2010, that won the Super Bowl. Hello. That team, that team actually had 18 players that were on IR that year, so they dealt with a lot of injuries. And for some reason, the Packers were able to overcome all of that. Aaron Rodgers was not the Aaron Rodgers that you guys know right now. Aaron Rodgers was a pretty good quarterback, but he wasn't the dynamic guy that we know. But what the Packers were able to do was they were able to play, play ahead of the chain. That type of way. What's going on, PC? How you doing? Yeah, definitely the worst victory Monday ever. But we got to take the wins as they come because at the end of the day, for us this year, wins have become so far in between that we got to take them as they come, even if the circumstance is horrible. And I know that Dak Prescott will be cheering these guys on, so I'm going to do the same. Nothing's changed about me. That's my quarterback. Hopefully, it's a speedy recovery. And one thing that I do fear, I fear that the Cowboys brass got what they wanted all along. Not necessarily the injury, but they got a reason to go ahead and get a quarterback, man. And that makes me sick to my stomach. Makes me sick to my stomach that this even came down to this. And I know that a lot of people, and I'll touch on this now before I go back to the game. I know that a lot of people were going back to that contract negotiation and saying, well, he got more than a hefty offer. He should have taken it. He should have taken it. Well, I'm here to tell you guys, it wasn't about the money. It was about the years. So when you say that, why couldn't it have been the Joneses that had taken the deal? All Dak really wanted was 4 years. Dak wanted 4 years, and he wanted the option of them not franchising him. They wanted 5 years, and they wanted to be able to franchise him. Had nothing to do with the dollars at this point. Maybe long term, possibly, but it was a technicality, and both sides decided to walk away from it. Both sides. So it wasn't just Dak turning down the deal. Dak was willing to bet on himself, and like a couple of you guys said, he lost, which unfortunately it is a business, but at the same time, if this is somebody that y'all are having crocodile tears for, then y'all will do is right. Hopefully get him healthy and hopefully take care of him. At this point, obviously the stock has dropped with his injury, which we didn't want, but you know, and see, Philip Ellis is saying now we get Dak for cheap, which is complete bullshit at this point. You know, I mean, I say that because of the circumstance and why and how it happened. You never want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that you want it to happen, but that's just trash. You know what I'm saying? It's trash. It's a trash way to force your negotiating hand. When in reality, let's be real about Dak. Dak did everything the right way. Um, Dak didn't do anything that Zach Martin didn't do with his negotiation. He didn't do anything different than what Zach Martin did. But you got guys like DeMarcus Lawrence who used his surgery as leverage, and they paid him. And you saw Zeke, who took his ass to Cabo last year and used that as leverage. Used that as leverage. And nobody said a thing. Everybody said, pay Zeke, pay Zeke, pay Zeke, pay D-Love. All Dak really wanted was 4 years. And you guys are crying about 4 years. For some people who don't want Dak Prescott as their quarterback, we're talking about 4 years compared to 6 years. So you guys don't want him, but the Joneses tried to sign him for 6 years, and you were okay with 6 more years? It doesn't make sense, guys. So what it leads me to believe is that a lot of you guys really just don't want Dak, which is cool. Just come out and say it. And I kind of feel like that about the Joneses, really. We're talking about 4 years to 6. You guys are trying to, how do I say it? Used car salesman this contract with your quarterback. You could do that with other positions, but you got to take care of your quarterback. He said, be a real Cowboy. I am a Cowboys fan, idiot. I am a Cowboys fan. I said Andy Dalton did his thing yesterday. He did his thing. But we're talking about the front office right now. How the front office really dropped the ball here. And there's definitely a drop-off in what we had. We'll see if we can rally. It's going to be tough, though. We're missing a lot of all-pro players, all-pro talent type on offense. With Tyron Smith, Dak Prescott, and you know, Collins is playing pretty well. Who knows? If he's healthy, he could have played at an all-pro level. We're missing all of that. And we're missing Travis Frederick, who retired early. So, and Joe Looney, who was his replacement, which, you know, Tyler Biadasz has done a pretty good job. So, it is what it is, you know. PC, don't even worry about it, bro. I mean, you know, we got that victory. Right now, we're on top of the division as it stands. And Philip is actually right about the playoffs. We have an opportunity to do it. We're in the division right now that's in a disarray. The Giants are probably one of the worst football teams out there, and you have Washington, who just threw away their future. We're not going to. We're talking about bad organizations. Washington handled that horribly, and it looked horrible yesterday, and they deserved it. And Philadelphia is probably the only team that could probably catch fire, that could take the division away. But as it stands right now and how things are going, even if we don't win the division, that might not be a bad thing. Considering what happened yesterday. Um, because in all honesty, Dak was carrying a lot. He was carrying a lot on his plate for somebody that they didn't want to take care of at the end of the day. Because I believe if they wanted to take care of him, it would have got done. That's just how I feel. I think it was more on the Joneses than it was on Dak at this point because he held out for a little bit, but then he came back, signed his tender, and he came back and he did his thing. You know, so and I noticed that when I said it's on the Joneses, some of the people who were watching went down. But this ain't one of them channels that's gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to y'all and tell y'all what y'all want to hear. Point blank, period. The Joneses blew this, and at this point, when all of that happened, I was so pissed off. I can't even tell you. I was in the middle of being pissed off and being, emotional at the same time. Because when you have a leader like Dak Prescott is, see, a lot of people, they think the quarterback position is just, how do I say it? Somebody that goes out there and slings the ball and throws for a whole bunch of yards. Now, your quarterback is the leader of your team first. He's the leader of your team first. All right? He's the guy who's first in command on your team. He's the guy that at the end of the day, these are who the guys are going to look up to in times of stress. And that's one thing that he was for us. He was always accountable as a leader. When D-Law and all those guys like that were crying to the media or crying on their Twitters, Dak don't play that game. Dak takes it on the chin. You know what I'm saying? Dak exemplified everything that you want in a quarterback. And what they did was they jeopardized all of that yesterday. Because with him being on the stretcher, there's a good chance that he won't be back. And that sucks. Because who knows where it'll end up. See, think about Washington. When Alex Smith went down, his time there was already secured. So his timetable on when he wanted to come back, they already knew that Alex Smith was going to be a Washington football player. We already knew that. But with Dak being in a franchise tag year, now the Joneses are gonna have no choice but to use that as leverage. Obviously, he's not gonna get paid the most now, but where do you go? So do they take care of him is the question. And in all reality, why wouldn't they go get a quarterback? That's all I'm saying. Like y'all keep talking about Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is not the future. He's a Band-Aid for this year. And we can still win with Andy Dalton, don't get me wrong. But they're not signing Andy Dalton to no long-term contract. Are y'all serious? Andy Dalton is just going to go somewhere else because he just got his value up. Andy Dalton right now, depending on how he finishes this year, just bought himself another big deal. The Cowboys aren't going to sign him to a big deal. Just like probably Alden Smith. They're not going to sign him to And if you chose Andy Dalton to lead you into the future, we're in trouble. Trey the Great says Andy Dalton will make us forget about Dak. No, he won't. He's not the same leader. He's not the same leader. It's different. Not the same type of leader. This is going to be what you're going to see now is you're going to see Zeke ball. Mark my words. Watch what I tell you. Zeke about to put us on his back. Zeke is about to put us on his back right now. I saw a more motivated Zeke yesterday after that injury than I've seen in a long time. I think that, and you know, it's crazy. I mean, if you ever played on the team, when you have somebody that can play that's alongside of you, you kind of allow them to do their thing, and then you do your thing when it's your time. You know, you don't feel like you got to put everything on your back. Now I think that that's where Zeke was sitting, but now Zeke knows that if he don't show up, we don't have a chance. We don't, which is actually crazy. You know, that, you know, now all of a sudden, once that goes down, we start running the ball effectively, which is crazy to me. I don't know it. Maybe the Giants, you know, they weren't prepared for the moment, and that's something that you got to take into account next week, that Andy Dalton will be on tape. You know, so Arizona will have you know, more of a grasp of what to do with this offense with Andy Dalton. But you know, I mean, let's see. Look at some of the comments. Rasheed was wilding. Shane said Dak is still a leader. He's not dead. Absolutely, he's not dead. But all I'm saying is, like, with the future going on and his contract situation, like, as of now, he's probably out for a year. I don't see a compound fracture coming back by the playoffs. And I wouldn't want him to come back, quite honestly. Even if there was a chance, you know, you just got to make sure you get healthy. And that's what I would want from him at this moment right now. Yeah, he can still help in the quarterback room and all of that stuff, but you know, it's a difference in having a leader lead you while they're out there. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. So while he's still a leader, this is Andy Dalton's show at this point, you know? So it's got to be up to Andy Dalton to pretty much keep the ship afloat. Let's see, Ori says Cowboys created a mess. Dallas facing teams with losing records now. So it should be now or never. I agree. See, Shane says they will do it for him. Andy's really good. I think people forget what he did with 2 good receivers, let alone 3+. Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's not what won us the game yesterday. What won us the game? Well, I mean, we turned the ball over, but what really won us the game yesterday, what really got us back in the game, is playing off the run. Now, Andy did have some big throws, don't get me wrong. He did have some big throws, and we do have some weapons. But, you know, us being physical and out-physicaling the Giants when we needed to is what won us the game. And you can go back and watch. The defense started playing more physical. Jalen had a really good game yesterday. Probably the best game that I've seen him in a Cowboys uniform, to be honest with you. You don't believe me? Go look at the tape. Jalen was all over the place, man. And I don't know if it was because the Giants were so bad or what. The defense was still bad yesterday, but they played a little bit better. And I think particularly after the injury, they started playing inspired football. So maybe this injury is something that's going to allow these guys to play a little bit more inspired football. I don't think that the scheme is still good. I still think the scheme is trash. But I think that the guys played harder. They weren't missing tackles anymore after that. Like, all in the first half, all of those missed tackles and extra yards New York was getting, that came to a halt. And it came to a halt real quick. see some of the comments. Dalton had some big throws. He did. Uh, Vern Wright, the Cowboys finally ran the ball with Zeke. Yes, two perfect passes to win the game as a backup. He's He's fucking talented. I mean, you guys must have just got on. I already said that Dalton isn't a scrub, and if there's anybody that can handle this moment, it's him. You know, he showed poise yesterday. He showed poise in a situation where things could have really gone left. And, big ups to him, big props. He definitely did. But I've seen him at the helm enough to know that, them 4 or 5 pick games, if we throw the ball a lot, they coming. I promise you. I promise you, them 4 or 5 pick games, he was doing that with talented guys. Like, at one point, because we know that Andy can sling the ball a little bit. We know that. But I don't know if you guys remember when Donovan McNabb's scrub ass called him Red Romo. But what that means is that he's very talented, but he can throw that ball. He can throw that ball to the other team. So got to be very wary of that. That's why I say, at this point, early on, don't make him necessarily a game manager, but we definitely have to simplify the offense and slow it down. We have to slow the game down. We can't play as fast with Andy Dalton as the quarterback, because playing that fast will lead to turnovers. We're already bad at turnovers right now as it is. We're already bad at holding on to the football as it is. So right now, we really can't afford to have those type of games. Not right now. Right now, we got to play more error-free, if that makes sense. So I do think we have the formula that can still win. We can still win. We definitely can still win the division. Like I said, Andy Dalton is still the best quarterback in the division right now as it stands. Carson Wentz is trash. Washington don't even know who the hell their quarterback is. And Danny Loose Chains just lost to us. So, yeah, Tristan Hill did get hurt too. Let's see, pessimistic fans said formula. We barely beat Atlanta and New York. By formula, I mean the formula is what we kind of did in that game. We stopped playing as fast. Even with Dak out there, we stopped playing as fast, and we played grounded out football. The grounded out football with Zeke, management, clock management, like somebody just said, that's the formula right there. We got to play above the chains, ahead of the chains, and we got to keep our defense off the field as much as possible. That's the formula. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Hopefully they follow what we were doing yesterday. Were the New York Giants a juggernaut? No. Was their defense a top 5 defense at the time? They actually were. Were the Giants a team that was really good against the run? They were. And we found a way to run the ball on them anyway. Now, I lost the chug bet to Rashid yesterday because my bet was Zeke would get over 100 yards. The only reason Zeke didn't get over 100 yards is because of that quarterback center exchange, probably, more than likely. 20 carries for 91 yards, that right there is running the football. It probably would have ended up being maybe 25 carries for 100-something yards. But, injuries happen. And so what we got to do is we just got to play a little bit of error-free football. So while I understand that Dak, sorry if I'm a little heavy of breath, man. I'm walking, doing my daily 4 to 5 mile walk. What we have to do is, so when I was coaching, and I'm still coaching, but a couple years ago, the best team that we've ever had at my high school that we coached, we had a death on our team. So a player died. We had a shaky start. We had a very good team. We had a lot of talent. We had returning starters all over the board. Our quarterback position was kind of murky. We had a young kid who just passed away, rest in peace. We had a young kid who was going to be a sophomore, and we had a junior who wasn't ready. And you know, when one of our kids died, we started off 0-2, and we found out after the game of the second one that the kid had died. We found out. Oh, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Wright Antoine Myers. So what we were able to do was reel off 8 wins in a row and win our conference, and we won. No, we lost the playoff game. So, but with that being said, we reeled off 8 in a row with young sophomore who came in and did his work. This reminds me a lot of that because, I mean, Dak didn't die, but what I saw from the inspired football, you start seeing guys who weren't making tackles before start making tackles. You see guys who, like guys like Cedric Wilson, guys like that who are making extra plays. You start seeing guys block a little bit harder, even though they may not be as talented. When you're playing inspired football, it's a little bit different. And I think that the Cowboys can use this right now with how things are. And I think as crazy as it is right now, I think Mike McCarthy is the right guy for the job right now because he's been through this. Go back to that Packers Super Bowl. I think they had 18 on IR. I talked about it earlier. So if there's somebody that understands how to keep things afloat during these situations, it's Mike McCarthy. How many times has he lost Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback? I think that was part of the reason for them bringing in Andy Dalton, was for him learning through those situations. Because he ultimately kind of lost his job over that, really, ultimately. Aaron Rodgers getting hurt a little bit and not being the same guy that he once was. So I think Mike McCarthy is the right guy for the job right now. Now, Mike Nolan, we might have to revisit that at some point. You know, I won't even lie to you guys and say that I'm confident that this defense can come through. But what I will tell you is that these guys are going to play much harder than they already were. But what I don't want to see is I don't want to see them try to get better defensively now. I don't want to see them go out and get Earl Thomas or Eric Reed or any of those guys right now. I don't want to see that. No, y'all said y'all was going to stick with what y'all going to do. No, don't make changes. Don't make changes to the DBs. Don't go out and get Ron Leary now. Or maybe you might. Yeah, don't go out and get Ron Leary now. You stick with what the plan was before. Because anything else is sabotage at this point. If you go out and you get defensive players, I mean, Tristan Hill did go down, but if you go out there and you sign some of these veterans that are out here that can play, it's going to look real bad. So stick with what y'all said. We were stuck with it for 5 weeks. So y'all stick with this. Y'all stick with this philosophy that y'all have had the whole time. Don't change it. Let's win as it is. Don't make none of those moves now. Because at the end of the day, I will be watching, and I'm gonna keep it 100 when I see it. Don't make them now. You know, yeah. We were crying for Earl Thomas. I don't want Earl Thomas no more. Nope. Go sign with somewhere else, man. Go sign with somebody else. Go sign with Washington. Go sign with Philadelphia. You know, we done already let Snacks go. You know, I mean, but he's on a practice squad. Maybe we could sign him off a practice squad. But nope, don't do that. Nope. Don't do it at the sacrifice of our quarterback. Now you're trying to, make the team better. You should have made the team better when we had him. So, nope. In the franchise year, we didn't take care of him. So, you know what I'm saying? Andy Dalton pretty much in the same boat. 1-year deal. But I do think that Andy has the capability of keeping this thing afloat. We just gotta We just got to make sure that turnover margin, that has to be something right there that we either break it. We either have to keep breaking even, or we got to find a way to win the turnover margin in order for us to really compete. We can't continue to have 3, 4 turnovers with the switch at quarterback because there was a drop off, whether people want to admit it or not. There was a drop off at the position yesterday. Those same throws that Dak was threatened, Andy Dalton was kind of. It was a difference in velocity. It was a difference in the confidence of the ball coming out. But he'll get more practice. He'll get more practice with these guys, and you know. But let me see. PC says that means we have to address the starting QB issue and backup QB. Well, that's the thing that I was worried about. Without Dak signed to a deal, without Andy really signed to a deal, I mean, they could extend him now if he just wants to play here for cheap and continue to be a backup to Dak when he comes back. That might not be a bad idea because I'm okay with that. But they're going to bring a young guy in here. Watch what I tell you. I see the writing on the wall. Watch. Y'all got to understand something. These guys want a quarterback that looks a certain way, that looks the part, man. The reason I can tell you that is because they almost drafted Johnny Manziel off of Zach Martin. I honestly think that if it was Aaron Donald or Johnny Manziel, if Zach Martin was gone, I bet you they would have taken Johnny Manziel over Aaron Donald. I can guarantee you that because the way that they value the defensive line position, they would have made that move. There's no doubt in my mind. If the roles were switched between us and LA, they would have taken Johnny Manziel. And then they tried to trade back up and get Paxton Lynch. And Paxton Lynch ain't in the league no more. 2 guys that ain't in the league no more. The team can't evaluate the quarterback position. They can evaluate veterans a little bit and guys that can come in and be serviceable. But if you're talking about the future, bro, we lucked into Dak Prescott. We lucked into Tony Romo. We lucked up into those guys. We lucked up into our past 2 good quarterbacks. So, I mean, you guys can trust this organization to do the right thing all you want. When have they ever? Hell, they cut homeboy on the surgery table. Gerald McCoy. They ain't gonna do the right thing, man. They never do, man. They never do. And it'll be headlines, and then they'll make up a whole bunch of BS. But here's the whole thing. We got guys like Jeff Heath, Anthony Hitchens, Taco, guys out there balling right now. I never really wanted to cut Jeff Heath, though. I just wanted Jeff Heath to have somebody better in front of him. I wanted Jeff as the backup or to play alongside somebody that was good. But we don't do right by guys. Jeff did get an extension, Jeff Heath, but he shouldn't have been gone. Anthony Hitchens, I understood that one. But Taco, they did Taco dirty. Taco got done dirty. It's not his fault that y'all wanted to draft him and reach for that high. Y'all didn't develop him. Y'all didn't get somebody in here. Well, I mean, it was a Marinelli guy, but still. Y'all didn't treat him the same way that y'all treated D-Law. Y'all reached for Taco and expected greatness right out the gate. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't do right by Taco. So why do y'all expect them to do that with the quarterback position? I'll be 100. And I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. I have no problem. You guys can correct me all the time. And like BC said, these are players that we drafted, which is the disappointing part. Absolutely. And it's funny because I believe guys like Morris Claiborne paid for Kansas City last year. All these ex-Cowboys that Kansas City keeps picking up for their defense. And I know that they have Mahomes. I know that Mahomes is probably the greatest talent to play the quarterback position. I get that. It's not like we haven't had talent at the quarterback position either. The difference is culture. The Cowboys' culture right now, as an organization, stinks. As a winning organization, it's trash. We're business first, football second. I'm gonna say this every week, until they prove otherwise. Our culture is trash, trash. While I believe Mike McCarthy was the best guy for the job, and he is right now, I don't think Mike McCarthy was the best candidate for the job. I think that they overlooked a lot of good coaches out there, particularly one in Kansas City, that they didn't even give an interview. I think that they hire their friends. They gotta like you. They gotta like you in order for them to hire. For them to hire, because it's a controlling factor. It has to be. It has to be. There's no other way. They won't allow a coach to come in that will impose their will to win football games. I mean, we can say all we want about Mike McCarthy, but I mean, we know who's running the show. Yeah, I wanted Jim Harbaugh. They didn't want Jim Harbaugh, but I thought that he deserved the interview. Jim Harbaugh, Eric Bieniemy, guys like there's a whole bunch of coaches out there that they can interview that were better candidates than Mike McCarthy. Did Mike McCarthy have a Super Bowl ring? Absolutely. But show of hands, who knows the last coach that won a Super Bowl somewhere else and went somewhere else and won a Super Bowl? I'll wait for the answer. Somebody find me that. And somebody please find me that, because I don't think it's happened. And if it were to happen, I don't think Mike McCarthy is the guy. I don't even believe they think Mike McCarthy's the guy. I don't even think they believe that. I think they believe Kellen Moore is their guy. They're trying to groom Kellen Moore to take that job because they love Kellen Moore. They love Kellen Moore. They gotta love you. They gotta love you like you're part of their cult, like you're part of their brood or something. Like, I swear they're a bunch of vampires, bro. I swear they're a bunch of vampires making decisions like it's Twilight or something. I don't know. But it just seems like they move differently than organizations that stay on top for a while or stay winning. This is a bad cultural organization. They can sell tickets, though. They can sell a hell out of some nachos and some jerseys and all of that type of stuff. Other than that, though, we don't make winning football decisions like that. We just don't. Okay, let's see. James Messiah says DMV, the only coach to win a Super Bowl with two different teams was Don Shula. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I don't see no Don Shulas out here. Let's see. Shane Peterman says McCarthy going to be the first. Have faith. It's 4 games with no preseason. I mean, I'm just looking at it this way, bro. I had faith. I had faith before the season started. But once I seen how things are being operated, for one, Mike Nolan. If he's going to continue to keep Mike Nolan, we ain't winning nothing with him, bro. We're not winning nothing with Mike Nolan as our defensive coordinator. I'm just going to keep it 100. Just going to keep it 100. We're not winning nothing with Mike Nolan as our defensive coordinator. The scheme is trash. And you won't be able to get good players in here. You won't be able to get good players in here to help bring that thing out. They don't value what it takes in this scheme. They don't value the big, fat, ugly guy in the middle as a nose guard, since we're switching to 3-4, we're going hybrid. So they don't value your one techniques, and they don't value your zero technique. So that's a staple in itself right there. They don't value that position. Another position they don't value, is they don't value the safety position. Where all great 3-4 defenses that I know, because I'm going to say 3-4, all the great 3-4 defenses that you know, they got, they don't necessarily have great middle linebackers, but they got your edge rushers. They got you some big fat guys up. Like, I mean, like, not just, stalemate, but actually whoop ass. They got 2-5, 1-5 technique or 1-0 technique that are just out there whooping ass. And you got a safety that can just make plays. You know what I mean? Like, when I think of great 3-4 defenses, I think of Dick LeBeau and the Steelers with Troy Polamalu and James Harrison and a couple of those guys. I think about that defense. I think about the Ravens. Well, they were a 4-3 at first. But and Mike Nolan did have this team. But think about what they had. They had Haloti, they had Ray Lewis, and they had Ed Reed. The middle of your field was secure. And we all know that if you can secure the middle of the field, everything else on the outside is low percentage in the NFL. Everything is lower percentage when the middle of your field is locked down. We don't value those positions. So we will never be shit until we do. I'm speaking football right now. I'm not talking fanboy stuff. I'm not going to talk about anything that they're going to talk about, any of the talking heads. As long as Mike Nolan is our defensive coordinator and we don't have the players that make up for how bad the organization is of his scheme and how they teach it, we're not going to win anything. Mike McCarthy's side of the ball, the offense, which Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator, they're balling. Absolutely. We can get a defensive coordinator that can take pride in his work like those guys do. Oh, yeah, we're going places. But until then, and that's part of Mike McCarthy's issue right there, staffing. You could have staffed some better defensive coordinators, bro. Mike Nolan ain't done shit for, I don't know how. Can somebody tell me the last time Mike Nolan had a good defense? For all we knew, Mike Nolan was in the shadows somewhere. I think, wasn't he a linebacker coach or something last year? I don't know. But he's not the guy. I've seen enough already to know. Do I think we have the best talent on defense? No, but that's by their design. He's got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy that's saying, hey, we don't need no safeties in here. We don't need no damn Earl Thomas. We don't need no Eric Reed. We're fine. We got Darian Thompson. Donovan Wilson will be ready soon. Like, we'll be fine. That's got to be your guy right there. Got to be. Leonidas, we need to pray for Dak. Yeah, absolutely. Pray for Dak. He's already in my prayers. That's my quarterback right there. I'm going to keep it 100. I've never, in my time as a Cowboy fan, been as invested in a quarterback as Dak Prescott. The second guy that I was probably most attached to was Tony Romo. I was a big Tony Romo fan. I love Tony Romo. I actually wanted them to let them compete. That's how much I love Tony Romo. Because I think Romo would have won that competition, honestly. And I think it would have made Dak a better quarterback. I think it would have made Dak a better player. But the organization did what they had to do. And honestly, at that time, I was not okay with it. But, I bought into Dak. Eventually, he won me over like he was supposed to. Yes, Leonidas. Dak had surgery last night for a compound fracture for a dislocated ankle. So hopefully a speedy recovery to that young man. I say that young man like I'm that much older than Dak. I'm really not. But, speedy recovery, man, to Dak Prescott. It's a shame that somebody like him who does all of the right things, something like that happens to him in a time where we could have taken care of him as an organization. So obviously his price tag did go down, which sucks, but we'll see if they take care of him, though. Yeah, Shane. Let's see. My son prayed for him with me last night. We both were choked up. Only time I've been hurt like this was watching Romo go down. Shane said Romo is the best. Change my mind, you can't. Uh, Honestly, man, I think Dak was on his way to surpassing Romo. Um, he's already done pretty much. He's done pretty much everything that Romo did already, and he was doing it at a faster pace. So, I mean, I think that after this year, he was definitely going to wipe Romo out of the Cowboy record books. I do think so. Maybe not for like his most touchdown passes and stuff like that, but I think that he was on his way. He still could be. He could come back, but understand he won't be the same guy. Now the mobility factor. No, I mean I know he has heart, but the mobility factor won't be the same for him, and it'll be shaky probably that first year throwing the football. It's probably gonna take a couple of years for him to get his feet up under him like he had them. And I could tell you somebody who's gone through surgery recently. I think like 3 years ago, 3 4 years ago, I had the Achilles surgery. And for those who don't know, I'm not going to say that I'm an elite athlete, but I'm a pretty good athlete, even still. And that Achilles injury took away what made me unique once I went under the knife. I had never had a surgery. I had had injuries, but I never had anything major. And it took away, like, I'm somebody who had I was recorded at having a 38.5 vertical inch jump at one point. I ran a 4.52. What else? Broad jump. I'm not sure. I know I can jump, so broad jump. I think I was at like a 10 something. But I was a hell of an athlete. I appreciate it, Leonidas. Go to class, man. Um, and once I went under the knife, like these kids that I coach right now, for the most part, none of them can out athlete me. Um, but when you have that knife go through you, it's something different. I've never had a dislocated ankle or a broken ankle. The most that I've had a high ankle sprain twice. But the fact that I didn't have to have surgery allowed me to really come back. It wasn't until having that Achilles surgery that, there's about something different. Like it's something different about waking up in the morning. It hurts. It aches. You know. Sometimes like today is rainy and it's cold. I definitely felt it in my Achilles. Those are some of the things that he's gonna feel. He was already 240, so I can only imagine what that's gonna be like. I mean, it was a freak play, man. And we always said we want to see him run more. In that instance, maybe he should have. I don't know what he could have done different. He tried to stiff arm the guy. He wasn't in the position to slide. Maybe he should have just went down instead of trying to stiff arm him. I don't want to tell him how to play. I just wish that we had our quarterback, though. I will say that moving forward. Because I do think that in that game, he was taking that game over. I think that we were going to blow the Giants out at that point. The way that we were playing, the way that he was playing with tenacity. On that play, I actually cheered. We cheered when we were at Mark's house. We jumped up. And because we saw the attitude in which he stiff armed that DB. We saw that attitude. He had already broken the tackle, and he was getting ready to stiff arm this guy to the ground. And the guy just rolled up on him. So, I mean, it was a freak accident, speedy recovery. What's going on, Miss Kathy? Yeah, I had a tough night too. It was tough watching that. It's tough watching the guy that Miss Kathy, we were on the same page with that. We were on the same page. So, you know, and you said it. You kept saying it. You said it last week. You said it on Mark's channel. You just kept saying sabotage. Sabotage. They were sabotaging. And I don't necessarily believe that as much. But if they go out here and get some safeties and they get some defensive help, yeah, I think they sabotage big time. Shane Peterman says fact. My ankles are fine somehow, but my knees and hands tell my age and story. Lots of basketball and football. It's going to be a mental battle for Dak, but he's so tough. Yeah, absolutely, he is tough. And the one thing that I worried about with him, as I saw him crying, going off in the cart, is that he's a guy that told us that he deals with depression. You know what I mean? He deals with depression. So the one thing that I'm hoping for, more than just the speedy recovery, is his mental health. I'm hoping that his mental health. I hope that he has the right people around him. I hope that the team. I hope that the team doesn't forget about him. More importantly, and I hope that they continue to play hard for him. Miss Kathy, do I think they're gonna keep him? I don't know, but I'll tell you this much, and I love my Dallas Cowboys. But if we find a way to screw that up and we don't secure him, uh, I'm gonna have a really hard time wearing the star next year. To tell you that much, because more than anything, it's about principle, and you're supposed to take care of guys like him. Hey, Miss Jackie, how you doing? More than anything, I'm a big principle guy, and they were supposed to take care of him once, but if they don't take care of him now, after he left it all out there, I understand it's a business, but if you treat it like that, where it's that much of a business, where you treat these guys like used car parts, and I don't want no parts of that. I don't want no parts of that. There's a way that you do things, and there's a way that you don't do things. There's a way that you can cut guys. There's a way that you can trade them. There's a way that you can give them an opportunity somewhere else where you didn't use them up and just throw them away. You can't. If we just throw away Dak Prescott like that, I'll be no good with this franchise. And I don't know how people would be able to sleep at night knowing that they did him that way, where he's somebody who's done everything right. He didn't go to Cabo on us. He didn't hold off on the surgery. He started every game, even when he was making only 600K a year. He's given us his all, and he's young. I think he can come back. I believe he can come back. I know he can come back. But right now, if they throw him away, he has no way of really securing his career. So, like I said, an organization that can throw that guy away like that, who has that great character and that great leadership, you gonna have a tough time being a fan moving forward. They won't win anything else. Karma doesn't forget things like that. And we've been struggling with karma ever since we cut Gerald McCoy like that. We cut that man over a few $1,000,000 when he had a 3-year deal. And we did, and it's funny because I don't even know what the hell we even did with that money. Miss Jackie says he's been released from the hospital. Keep prayers going his way. Absolutely. And as much as the organization at this point, I've seen them do some really shady things. So at this point, they're gonna have to prove to me that they can do right by somebody like him in order for me to believe it. And if they do, I will give them no props. I will give them props. I have no problem giving them props if they do that, if they handle this the right way. I can't say that I don't see them. I I don't know. Let me see. Kathy says I got mad if you hear how Romo comment like he wants him to experience an incident. I don't know that. I think that Romo felt for him, because he knows how good of a guy he was. That's the one thing that I heard from Romo. Um, and Miss Jackie, yeah, I'm just trying to keep it 100. Yesterday, where we were at, if you guys tuned in to Mark's live stream, you probably did. You know that Rasheed got a little rowdy yesterday about that. Because he's dealt with injuries like that. They the Johns, they had Saquon. He went out with an ACL, but the ACL is a little bit different. And Saquon's not in his contract year, in his franchise year. You know what I mean? Um, I think that if it was up to Jerry, I think Jerry takes care of that. It's Steven that I don't trust. I don't trust Steven as far as I can throw him. I think Steven, I think it was a whole bunch of fake ass alligator tears. I don't trust none of them, not one of them. I don't trust him. I just don't trust him because we didn't sign him over because he wanted a 4 year deal. Wasn't money. Wasn't the money aspect. It was a 4 year to 6 year thing. They were trying to use car salesman, my man, out of that contract. And you know that they craft things up a certain way when they write their language. So if you're trusting guys that can't handle the salary cap the right way in order to come up with contracts and they're gonna take care of Dak, come on man. Nah. They treat these players I don't know. But like I said, there's a couple of guys like Dez or whatever, like I could understand Dez. I could understand some of these other guys out here. But Dak, I could understand D Ware. D Ware was I mean for what we were spending and how his body was holding up, like we couldn't really afford to keep him like that with how our salary cap was going. So I understood that. But with Dak, we had the money and tried every way not to make that deal happen. And they put it out in the media like this guy was some greedy guy. You see them tears that guy was crying yesterday? Y'all think he was crying over that over money? Y'all think that was over money? That was over his love of the game. That was over his passion. That guy grew up a Cowboys fan. He loves this organization. He loves his organization more than they love him. I can tell you that much. I can tell you that much. I promise you that. So, if you ask me, Kathy said if they release him, I would support him wherever he go because Dak going to be a winner wherever he'll be. Yeah, Miss Kathy, I'm thinking about that. I'm honest. With a guy like that, man, he won me over. You guys know, Miss Kathy, you know that I needed to see from Dak. You know that I was like, this is Zeke's team. I said that a couple years ago. I was like, Dak got to shore up things. Dak got to get better. Dak got to do this. Dak got to do that. Dak he got to put in his homework. He got to get better with his footwork. He got to get better with his mechanics. He got to get better with his reads. That was me. That was me. But you know what I saw? I saw a guy that tried to get better every year. I saw a guy that did get better every year. I saw a guy who wore his heart on his sleeve. You know, the star was bigger than anything with this guy. I see a guy with passion. You saw them tears yesterday. That guy's our quarterback, whether you believe it or not. So if they're able to throw that away, let me run. If they're able to throw that away like that, this is not an organization that I want to be a part of. Straight up, it's all about principle. And I'm probably one of the most loyal guys you know, especially when it comes to these Dallas Cowboys. But there's only so much you can take. And for you to throw away somebody that's loyal like him, if they're able to do that and sleep at night, man, I don't want no parts of them. They won't be going very far. They'll sell a lot of tickets. They'll sell a whole bunch. They'll be great at business, but we'll never win any football games, and they'll never bring in anybody that's worth a damn. I'll tell you that straight up. And Ms. Jackie said, this is why we have not done anything in 25 years. Think about that. Absolutely. That's exactly why we haven't done nothing in 25 years. Exactly why. And this core group of guys that we have right now, it'll be a shame to waste it. It'll be a shame to waste Zeke Elliott and Dak Prescott and Tyron Smith and Zach Martin and DeMarcus Lawrence and Sean Lee and Leighton Vander Esch. Because, I mean, I still believe in them, even though, you know, but it'd be a shame to waste this good core group. And if they do what I think they're about to do, if they do what I think they're about to do, it'll we will be the new Detroit Lions. I promise you. I promise you that. But yeah, I'm walking up this hill right now, and man, woo-wee. This right here is about a quarter mile of straight hell right now. So if you guys hear my breath and me losing breath, this right here is a monster. I promise you that. But yeah, is there any questions before I head on out, man? Any questions? Anything that I can answer or that you want my opinion on? See, Miss Jackie said, we have screwed up, messed up folks. We want to be Belichick only when it comes to messing up players' money, but not winning. You know how Pats don't pay as well. That's Stephen Jones. But what the Pats do is when they get rid of players, they don't get rid of players while they can't play anymore. They get more value for them. So they trade them and they secure picks. That's an organization. I'm okay with that. That's not throwing guys away because you're still allowing players to play. You know what I mean? You get them in a different environment. Are they with your team anymore? No. But you're keeping the bag coming with these young guys coming in. So that's how you manage. That's called management. What we do is use guys up and then let them roll, and we get compensatory picks for them. That's what we do. Yeah, Kathy, Miss Kathy. Let's see, Andy's no Dak. But hopefully, they can map up a game plan to kind of help us. Jack says get rid of a player when you can get something back for a player. Don't pay the player a lot of money. That's what the Patriots do, and they're really good at it. Shane, thank you. Hey, catch you, man. Thank you for tuning in. As long as you did, I appreciate it. Ooh, wee. This walk right here is nuts. Then I got to work out later. So this is the first installment right here. It's about 6 o'clock. Headed to a boot camp, man. Look, I got to get in shape, man, because they need me to play safety right now. They need me on the hash right now. I could do that. I could do what these guys are doing. I'll be honest with you. Oh, man. Any more questions before I'm heading on out? It's getting a little rainy out here. I'm sweating. But yeah, I brought the selfie stick today. That way, you guys can see my scenery. You guys can see all of that stuff. Out here about to get hit by a car. But yeah, hey, appreciate everybody for tuning in. I'm going to head on out right now. I will be doing a show Wednesday night at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Pacific Time, it'll be 5:30. And on Central Time, it'll be 7:30. Hey, you guys tune in. Me and Elton will definitely have a lot to discuss. And as you guys know, Elton is a big Dak guy. So Elton's going to have a lot to say. And there'll probably be a couple of F-bombs going towards the Joneses. So you guys don't want to miss it. Tell your friends about it. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell each time I come out with content. All right, Miss Kathy, Miss Jackie, everybody else, peace.